Hey everyone! A few weeks ago I posted a video of my worn out brushes and some viewers suggested to me that I should check out the Masters brush cleaner and preserver and see if this can rescue my brushes, see if this can make my brushes sharp again. So today I'm going to wash these brushes with this brush cleaning soap and then try and reshape the bristles to a sharp point, and then a few days later after the brush is dry I'm going to paint with them to see if this soap is actually effective. Here's a close-up at the brushes that I'm going to wash and preserve today. So on the left side we have a small rosemary brush. This is a medium size, this is a large one. These three, these are quite worn out. You can see the bristles, they're just really worn out. These two brushes, they are Navskaya Palitra. They are still relatively new compared to the rosemary brushes. You can tell from the furrow, these are still quite shiny. And these two are new brushes as well. They are the well planed brushes. Now notice some of the brushes, they have really puffy hair. So I'm going to use the brush soap and see if I can make those hair like really sharp. For some of my brushes, when they dry, they tend to look puffy, they will open up, but for some other brushes, they actually still retain the point, and this is the result that I want. Before I wash and preserve these brushes, I want to show you the strokes that they can create currently, and after I wash and preserve them, we'll compare the result and see if there is any improvement to the points. Alright, so I'm going to start with this small one. I'm going to start from the smallest brush to the largest brush. I've already loaded some paint onto this brush, and as you can see, the tip, it's really not there. So this is the type of stroke that this brush can create now. I am not able to get a thin line. This is the second rosemary brush. This is worn out as well. It's very difficult for me to get a thin line. This is the rosemary brush with the chunky head that I showed you earlier. So when it's wet, it can still maintain a point. So I can create a thinner line compared to these two brushes. So this is still quite a good brush. So of the 7 brushes that I have tested, these 2 rosemary brushes, they are the most worn out. This is the Masters Brush Cleaner and Preserver. It cleans oil, paint, watercolor, acrylic, and stains. Made in USA. There are some instructions here. This is a plastic container. It looks kind of nice. So the instructions are here as well. For this particular container, it has 74.7 grams of soap, which is different from what is labeled on the packaging. Alright, let's open this up. So this is the soap. You may not be able to smell it, but the soap actually smells kind of nice. Alright, let's start by washing the rosemary brush, the one with the blunt tip. I can see some red paint coming out, so I need to wash this properly to make sure that it's totally clean. It's actually not easy to get the foam or the leather to appear. Let me clean this up. Put some water on the soap. Hopefully that will soften the soap. Alright, I can see some soap on the brush now. In fact, there is a lot of soap on the brush, so let me wash this. Let me clean this again. This brush is now pretty clean. Now you can see that it really doesn't have any point. So now I'm going to try and shape this to a sharp point and see what happens. There's still a lot of soap on the brush, so I'm going to clean it more thoroughly. I'm just going to apply some soap to the tip of the brush so that the next time I use this, I don't have to wash away so much soap. Okay, so let me just add some soap to the tip of the brush. When I look at how blunt this brush tip is, I have a feeling that even the brush soap, it's not really going to help. It's actually quite difficult to shape this back into a point. Let me try and reshape it using my fingernail. I think this is the best I can do. And now I'm going to do the same thing for these brushes. I'm going to wash them, rinse them, put some soap onto the tip and shape them, and then dry the brushes. I've just washed all the brushes, so the most problematic brushes are these two on the left side. Now I'm going to dry the brushes. I'm going to wait until it's dry, and then I'm going to paint those thin lines again with these brushes. Alright, my watercolor brushes are dry and they look really good, especially these two blunt brushes. It looks like they have a sharp point right now. And remember earlier, the brush with the chunky hair, it's this one. It also has a sharp point. And the Novskaya Palitra with very fluffy hair, it's now able to keep the bristles together, and now it has a sharp point. Now these 5 brushes here on the right side, even though the hair can be a bit chunky or fluffy, when they are wet, they can still retain a sharp point. So I don't really have a problem with these 5 brushes. So let's see if the brush cleaner was able to save these 2 brushes. I've just wet the brush and loaded it with some paint, and it seems like the blunt tip is back. I think the problem with this brush is the hair is just too worn out. As in the hair, I think initially it was longer, but now it's shorter. So with shorter hair, it's no longer able to keep the point. So the strokes that I can get with this brush is still the same as before. It's thick. And now I'm going to try the second rosemary brush. I'm going to wet it slightly, load some paint, and try and see if I can get a thin line. I think I'm able to get a thin line, which is unexpected. The thing is, this brush is also kind of blunt. So let's try that again. It's not as bad as earlier, so there's definitely some slight improvement. Let's compare the strokes before and after. So with the really worn out brush, the brush soap wasn't able to rescue it. So the stroke here, it's just as thick as before. But with the other brush, it seems that I was somewhat able to restore its sharp point, because if you look at the stroke here, it's quite thick, but here I was able to get it to be a bit thinner, and it's more usable here. So what this tells me is, if the hair can still be rescued, if the hair is still not that worn out, the brush can still go back to a point, like this brush that I am trying to shape right now. It can still go back to a point. I've always thought that this second brush, it is beyond rescue, but apparently not. So I'm going to continue to recondition this brush. I'm going to use it more often over the next few weeks and months. And if there is any more improvement, I will update that in my text review. But right now, I can definitely see some slight improvement. So this brush, it can still be rescued. At least I was able to rescue one of the 2 brushes. So what does this tell us? Well, if you want to make your brushes last longer, you can take care of them with the brush soap, shape them after you clean them, and they will last longer. Not just that, it will help preserve the point on them as well. And this is not something that is really tedious. It just takes an extra few minutes, and it's really easy to just shape the point. One last thing I want to say is I actually have another brand of brush soap, which is the Da Vinci brush soap that I have probably featured on my YouTube channel before. Now, the thing with this is it uses a metal container, and this metal container, it actually will rust. So I think the soap is, you can probably use this soap to reshape the brush as well, but this container, it rusts, so it's going to get very dirty. This is a much better container because this is plastic. So that's all for today's review. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section below. If you happen to be using the Master's brush cleaner and preserver as well, I would love to hear from your experience. Now I'm going to use these two brushes more often going forward because I have already reshaped them using the brush soap. If there are any updates, I will update my text review. You can check out the link in the video description below, as well as links to where you can find or purchase this brush soap. So thank you for watching. See you in the next video. Bye!